and our thoughts, if not organized, are examples of where we're truly at in life. So if you take a look around the room you're in right now as you're watching this and you see clutter, messes, and unorganized matter, realize that that's an example of where you're at with your goals. Yes, you may have just left, things over the weekend and it's time to pick things up. But just remember that anything unorganized can slow you down.
Hey, champions, welcome to another session, another training that we do of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich principles. Every month, we deep dive into these principles that we talk about at Champion Circle. Champion Circle is a professional organization to where we help business owners and entrepreneurs to accelerate the results and achieve the goals that they are wanting to. And every month, we go into these trainings and focus on a principle. Each month brings it. And for this month, we are talking about the sixth principle in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, which is organized planning. And we have brought professionals on here to be able to speak to you, to share their experience, their wisdom, as well as tips and tricks to help you organize better and to plan like the champion you are. We have myself, who is going to go actually second right after our founder, Mr. Jon Kovach Jr. So without further ado, I'm actually going to turn the time right over to our founder, Jon Kovach Jr., who is going to start us out with the principle of organized planning. Jon, take us away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Organized planning is incredibly opportunistic. If you think about the power of organized planning, you will realize that it is more than just a vision. It is more than just a dream. Last month, we talked about the power of imagination, where you can take an idea, a thought, and then by putting action into it, you truly create an awesome opportunity, in that is creating that which will come to fruition. But organized planning is literally Napoleon Hill's steps and processes. He told us and taught us how to start with a desire. And that desire needs to be something that we can put a time bound limit on it, whether it be 90 days, 100 days, or a year or more. Here at Champion Circle, we try to set goals that are less than 90 days, but whatever it might be, you need to start with the desire, the thing you truly want. And I've beat this drum so much, you're going to get so tired of me saying it, but I will not stop, because at a relentless level, getting you to achieve your goals is the most important thing to us here at Champion Circle. So, when it comes to accomplishing your goals, I want you to understand the importance of what it takes to plan out your goals, to plan out your accomplishments. And when you start with desire, what you truly want, and you move into that next phase of identifying what it is that you're willing to do, what it is that you're willing to exchange, and what it is that you'd be willing to give or give up in order to accomplish that goal, you begin to recognize and understand how important it is to have a plan. And they say that if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. And I think that that's very, very true. When it comes to organized planning, it's taking your thoughts, aligning them in a row, and deciding what is the most important thing? What is the most vital thing that I can do today? And many times we struggle to decide that, because we either get the paralysis of the analysis, where we focus on the wrong things, or we just think about the process and we don't actually get to action. I come to you as somebody who has tested this so many times through and through. And with a little bit of ADHD, I've been able to overcome some uphill battles. But when it comes to actually focusing on the first step, it is the thing that you need to do. It just requires a little push. You can literally speak it into existence. And this is a little tip I like to use, where you can talk yourself into action. And we do it all the time. You've probably heard Mel Robbins give her 5 second rule, where she says, all you're going to do is you're going to count down from five, one, five, four, three, two, one. And when you say one, you must do the action. You can train yourself, your mind, your body, your subconscious, your soul into doing things when you say you're going to do them. And that is a nice way of giving yourself that motivation, that push into action. And it's a great way of compartmentalizing or organizing your thoughts into action. So again, you start with desire. And as you build through some amazing things like faith and autosuggestion and and creating through imagination and so many other things, you will find yourself taking more action. And I do this all the time. I talk myself into everything. I say, this is a good idea. This is going to make me better. John, I'm going to do this in five, four, three, two, one. And then I do it. Most of you probably have to do this when you wake up in the mornings so you can get out of bed. And maybe it's, hey, in 5 seconds, I'm going to go grab my phone and turn off that alarm or whatever it might be. And I highly recommend that strategy. But there are other ways of doing it. You see, here at Champion Circle, when it comes to setting goals, we tell you to start with the end in mind. Yes, that is a great phrase that came from our dear friends over at the Stephen Covey Institute with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Start with the end in mind. Know exactly where you're going. If it truly is a desire, you can literally at any moment close your eyes, take a big deep breath, and imagine yourself being at the destination before it even begins. And if you can imagine yourself already at the finish line, then you can literally rewind your thoughts. We call this the process of reverse engineering. And reverse engineering is when you take your end result and you work it backwards so that you visualize and see every step of the way. Now you can identify what A to Z looks like so you know exactly what steps you need to take. That's how you compartmentalize and program your mind to accomplish your planning and to set forth the foot of action. And that is a powerful, powerful tool in getting you where you want and need to go. So I feel like I'm teaching here, but I really want you to just grasp this idea that if you start with the end in mind, you compartmentalize or organize your thoughts into a process where you can truly see them step by step. Okay, you can do this through visualization techniques. You can do it through writing it down. You can do it through journaling. I am like a visual person, so I like using a whiteboard. And you know those big old whiteboards, and you draw a circle and you write the goal in the middle, and then you have the webs coming out from each side. That's me. I love that stuff. And that works for me because then I can take all of those ideas and then below my web, I can start from one, two, three, four, or A to Z and make it so that I organize my thoughts into action. And with the technology in the world today, yeah, you can take all those things and throw them into a chat GBT prompt and I'm sure it'll organize it for you. But again, it starts in here. It focuses on the importance of you doing and getting where you want to go. All right, any goal that I set, I don't move on until I have the steps to accomplish it, and then I press action. And the reason why, and this kind of may contradict some of my previous speeches because I have talked about taking action before there's a complication and then learning on the go. And that is the entrepreneurial life. That is the way that we accomplish so much. And that's how you learn a lot too. But to counteract my contradiction to self, know that organized planning is the fastest and most effective way to say, hey, I may not have all the answers, but I have a plan. And that plan is an action plan. And now I'm ready to take action. Because let's go back to analysis paralysis. If you have a plan that is, well, organized and written down, but there's no like initiation into making that a plan of action, then it will remain blueprints and it will remain stagnant until you get what results you want to achieve. I've seen this happen so many times in my life, and I've found how multiple occurrences have come from me just saying it, writing it down, and accomplishing what I want to do each and every day. You can do this simply, very much so, by just writing down two or three tasks that you know you need to accomplish every single day, and then you don't continue on with the other pressing work that you have to accomplish until you've worked on those three things. You've probably heard this. It's so simple, and I can tell you from experience that these are truly beneficial processes. Our dear and beloved friend who is passed now, Bob Proctor, said that thoughts are things. And because they are truly the spells of the mind that are created into reality, we can accomplish so much by just thinking through the things that we'd like to accomplish. It's not called grow rich, it's called think and grow rich. I pause because it's important to know that you think first into reality everything that you want to accomplish. One of the greatest plans I ever set out was an accomplishment I created for myself, and that was to create an environment, a place where people can come and build relationships. And I started with this company called Amplified Minds, and to this day, it's still one of my most cherished memories and experiences because it was a introduction to building relationships that could fulfill a need in the world. And there was a great need in the gap of my personal market over in Salt Lake City. And we started putting on these networking events. But I said to myself, I'm not going to just do a networking event. I'm going to do it different. I want people to connect. So I started compartmentalizing and visualizing what elements of networking make me want to continue to go back or to build relationships that actually get results. And I visualized the different aspects of connecting and communicating and building. And I realized that there were a few factors that truly made a difference. The first factor was a little bit of fun. You needed to have some fun. And fun could be like a game or a joke or a presentation or talking about someone else rather than yourself. And that fun led to a couple things. And on the scientific level, I got the I got the magnifying glass out and I was looking through and I put my lab coat on and I realized that fun also led to a couple things, which led to a higher heart rate. So I'm not here making professionals do jumping jacks and push-ups, but I am doing something that levels the heart rate up a little higher than it was leveled before. And that gets you into a space of action. Now, action after fun leads to trust. Trust comes from smiles and connectivity surrounded by other people and or organizations or systems or so forth. You'll see this in everything you first start. When you first download a new game or a new software or you get introduced to a new system or technology or you open up the manual to set up those Legos, you realize that okay, I need to learn how this function works, and then you start heading in that direction. So I did this. I visualized everything, and I come to find out that there are several aspects that lead to a transaction. And that transaction for me was fun, built on trust, built on connectivity and accountability. So, thus was born the Champion Circle Way through an Amplified Minds event where we found all of these elements and mushed them together and said, this is how we want to do it. It's not the way. The way doesn't exist, right? Here's my way. I know you've experienced your way and other ways. The way doesn't exist, but here is a way that created results. And you want to know what kind of results we created within just 9 months of this practice? We transacted or we helped facilitate an environment for success that ended up calculating more than $20 million worth of transactions. $20 million worth of trust, $20 million worth of relationships. and $20 million that went through the gaps that were missing in a market that we created. So, on top of it all, I just want to empower you to look at your plans, look at your goals, and tell yourself, hey, do I know what I'm doing? Have I visualized and written down and communicated into existence the step-by-step process? Have I organized my thoughts so that I can truly accomplish what I want to accomplish? I know it might be scripture, but there's a famous and very, very well known thought and quote, and that is, an unorganized home or a dirty home or a house of order is no house of mine if it is not in order. And I know I totally obliterated that quote, but I'm taking it from my context, and I'm just letting you know that what is a order and processed and contextualized plan is the best and fastest way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Have people accomplished without planning? Sure, absolutely. It happens. If you're a gambling person and you like the lottery and you like your chances at that billion dollar whatever it is, go for it. But I'm telling you, if you just take one small step, write it down, contextualize and visualize this outcome from A to Z, from 1 to 10, whatever it might be, you will be there so much faster. And you will have then kickstarted the the exponential growth process that comes from the applications of the Think and Grow Rich methodologies. And that's why we love this step. So, in organized planning, I had the opportunity to co author in a book called The 13 Steps to Riches on the subject of organized planning from one of the world's greatest visualizers. Her name is Marie Diamond. And Marie Diamond is one of the world's top feng shui coaches and artists. And she has told us that our home and our feng shui and our offices are an emblem, or they are a visit. How do I explain this? They're an example of our vision boards, and our thoughts, if not organized, are examples of where we're truly at in life. So if you take a look around the room you're in right now as you're watching this and you see clutter, messes, and unorganized matter, realize that that's an example of where you're at with your goals. Yes, you may have just left, things over the weekend and it's time to pick things up. But just remember that anything unorganized can slow you down. But when you organize your plan, when you take that blueprint and you create an action plan that's compartmentalized and ready for visualization and application, you truly are set in the right shoes for success. And that's important to me because as a track athlete, as a professional, no matter what hat or shoe I am wearing that day, it is vital that I know that each step I take in those shoes, I'm making an organized, planned decision for success. So take this advice, take it with you, and tomorrow you will find yourself even closer than you were before to any one of your dreams. Start with the vision, start with the dream. Find a way, and you'll find yourself closer to that dream every single day, and you'll reach those destinations a lot faster. Thank you.
And John, thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with it. I know that you have co-authored on all of the principles that we talked about, and to be able to bring your expertise with organized planning, thank you so much for it. I now have the privilege as Willie Blake to share with you some things that I've learned along the way in my professional career about organized planning. And I find it interesting in that not just me and not just John, but that in each of us champions, that it really comes down to being able to get clear and to be able to take that and act on and adapt to the plan that we go forward with. So I'm excited to share with you the things I have. Quick question. How many of you have set a goal to achieve something, but then halfway through realize that you've never actually had a plan to finish off the goal? I know for myself, That happens a lot. I know it feels weird to say, but it happens a lot because I get so excited. I have this wish, I have this dream to then go forward and just create it in this world that we call reality. And then I get asked the question, awesome, how are you going to do it, Willie? And I sit there with a stunned face thinking, I have no idea, but we're going to make it happen. Right? Out of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, his first principle is desire. So obviously, you have to have a desire to be able to think and grow rich. But what about after that? As we move forward, what about when it comes to planning? Why is planning so important? Well, if you think about it, way back into the scriptural context of when the earth was made, it wasn't just boom, everything was done. But God in the scriptures put the light and the darkness separated, got the water and the earth, got the animals and the birds, and as it says in Genesis, he planned it first and then enacted on it. So who am I? I believe in God. And who am I to say that I am better to not plan what I'm doing? So I've realized that, yeah, planning is kind of important. Now, how does that look like? I want to share three things that have helped me when it comes to planning. The first time I ever planned was back in 2018. Now, I'm sure I've planned other things before this, like dates in high school and to prom and such. But this was the first time where it was towards a goal and a desire that I had that would affect my life for the rest of my life. Back in 2018, I set a goal to read 12 books. 12 books, that was it in a year. One book a month didn't seem too hard. And so, as I set that goal, which was out of the world for a dyslexic like myself, who on average read maybe one book a year, it was out of this world. But I told myself I wanted to do it. And just like the question I asked you, I went and tried to read and hit that goal without planning. I had a little note card and I had the books I'd read, but other than that, I didn't have anything else. And so these three things I want to share are things that have helped me go from that person of just that desire and that wish to actually plan and execute that plan to get a desired result. I said that right. Go dyslexia. The first thing is be the Maps app. What is the Maps app? You got your little phone. There we go. Got a little phone right there. Click on the Maps app, trying to go somewhere. What's the first thing it asks you? Ask you where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, how is the phone going to tell you how to get there, right? They ask you where you want to go. What's the second thing it asks you for? Where you're at right now. Because if you know where you're at right now and where you want to go, then you know the direction that you need to head to be able to achieve your goal. What does that look like? Well, where you're going, that's your goal and dream. That's your northern star, that finish line that you're going towards. What is that for you? At that time, for me, that was reading 12 books. And then you figure out where you're at. And we got to be a little bit more honest with ourselves than we usually are. Because if you go and talk with a friend, they're just like, hey, how you doing? And you might say, good, when life might be crap, right? So you got to be honest with yourself. And that looks like in the realm of, let's say, being physical. Am I exercising? Am I healthy? Or am I sitting around with a keg trying to lose a little weight? On the social side, am I able to carry a conversation and listen to somebody? Or is it hard just to have surface level questions to ask them? Financially, are you financially set? Are you independent? Do you have money coming in? Or are you living paycheck to paycheck? Right? These are just some of the categories in which we got to ask hard questions, not because the goal is going to be hard to reach, but simply so that as we get more clear on where we're at, we're able to reach the goal. For the goal I set, I was reading 0 books that in a year. So when we know where we're at and where we're going and know the direction we need to head. right? Pretty simple. Most people are usually able to understand a lot about where they're at and where they're going. But then they don't go into the second one, which is where most people get hung up, which is taking that goal and reverse engineering it backwards. If any of you have ever been to a restaurant, you sit down and sometimes they have the kids menu. And on that menu, they have those little mazes for the kids to draw through. I know that whenever I see those, I look at it and instead of going from the front and drawing my way to the finish line, I always visualize from the end, work my way backwards. So finally, when I put crayon to paper, I can do it flawlessly. That's what we need to do with the goals that we set and as we plan and organize this planning, which is whatever it is, we visualize it backwards. We make the plan and the blueprint, set those milestones so that when it comes to taking action, we know exactly the direction and exactly the momentum and points that we need to hit to be able to reach it. What does that look like? Well, if I want to read 12 books, let's break it down. My goal is 12 books. Awesome. To reach that, I need to read one book a month. Not too bad, right? Awesome. How do I read a book a month? The average self help book that I've found is about 300 pages. So take how many days are in a month? We'll just say 30 as a nice even number. 30 divided by 300. I guess it's 300 divided by 30. That's 300 pages. And that equals 10 pages a day. So if I read 10 pages a day, then that means by the end of the month, I'm going to read 300 pages, which is a full self help book. Which then means if I read one book a month, then I'm going to reach 12 books in a year. So if I read 10 pages a day, that means I'm going to reach 12 books in a year, right? We break that down, we hit those milestones, and we come up with those daily actions. So now I know that today, all I have to do to reach a goal that's just way out there is to read 10 pages. And reading 10 pages a day will get me there. Think about the goal that you want and create those milestones by working backwards so that you can create that blueprint and plan so that when it's time to take that action, you know the exact daily steps you need to take to go the direction and hit the goal that you want. Number one, there's a refresher before we get to the third one. The first one is to be the Maps app, to figure out where you're going and where you're at so you know the direction you need to head. Number two is reverse engineer it. Take that goal, work backwards to create the blueprint and have the plan to work with. And then, of course, there's the action part, and that's in the steps, it's taking those daily actions to go where you want, which is the 10 pages for that goal I set. But then there's something crucial after the action, which is the third thing. Adjust and adapt. Anyone who has ever lived on this earth knows that life happens and that goals that we set for 5 years, 10 years, plans that we make for weekend vacations or cruise lines or whatever, that sometimes and probably most of the time, life is going to throw a wrench in the work and you just got to pivot. That's just how life is. But we can also be in control. A better visualization might be if you are driving from your house to Walmart and you start driving, are you able to pull out of your driveway, hit the gas, and go straight and go right into Walmart? If you can, you live really close to Walmart. But if not, like 99% of the world, you are going to make turns. You're going to stop at stoplights, and there might be construction or traffic going on. Life just happens. There's always uncontrollable aspects that come into the plan. That's why as we use and master a skill called adaptability, we're able to pivot and move in the direction that we still want to go, but take the swings as they come. So as we are driving from our home to Walmart, there will be a lot of left turns. There'll be a lot of right turns, as well as if you hit construction, you just go around it. Or if there's traffic, you can choose to sit in it and wait it out or find an alternate route. That's what we do when we plan and start executing on what we're doing. We take pivots and movements in which adjust not just from that straight arrow, but take side routes so that we can still get to our goal. That when something hits, maybe we sit in traffic and deal with the more urgent, maybe more important thing of a family member passing away, or you just moved. I had that experience recently, or you're just getting married. Right? There are these life things that happen that aren't right on our goal. And so sometimes we just have to slow down. And other times we need to speed up. Sometimes we're just not keeping ourselves accountable. We're not living in integrity. And what we need to do is take more massive action and be able to actually spend the time, an hour or two a day, or however many hours in a week, to achieve the thing that we want because we're simply being lazy. As we set that plan and take the action, we adjust and we adapt to the situations that happen. We correct the course, you could say, so that we will eventually get to the goal that we desire. Organized planning is such an important principle because when you are able to lay out clearly exactly what needs to happen, and be able to determine the things of which are most important and not so important, or be able to know who you want in your inner circle and who might you might spend less time with, to be able to know how much money goes into something and maybe how much time goes into another, or pour into resources here and connections there. When you have all of those that are so clear, you look at it just like you finished a puzzle and it looks beautiful. And then you're able to take the action to move forward, take the baby steps to then hit the milestones and eventually achieve what all of us want to, which is the desired result that we ourselves got to choose. So I say to you, champions, first, figure out what you want. If you don't know what you want, there's no reason to change. Figure out what you want, what that goal is you're aiming for, and find where you're at so you know the direction you need to head. Second, reverse engineer it backwards. Create the blueprint to hit those milestones so that when you start taking action, you can take them forward. And then last, as you're moving, as you put your foot on the gas pedal, you have a steering wheel for a reason. And so adjust and adapt as you're moving forward towards that destination. And I can promise you that when you do that, that as you move forward towards that result and are able to adjust and pivot, you will reach it. The journey will be exciting. The people you get to spend time with, it's going to be freaking fantastic. And you're going to build deeper connections, not only with the people you have, but with people that you don't even know yet. You're going to be coaches and mentors to someone else, as well as find coaches and mentors for yourself. And the beautiful journey and the result you're going to get is going to come. And all that happens as you organize the plan that's in front of you and take that step back and truly see in the bigger picture that it was easy all along. All you had to do is just get clear. So, my friends, gain that clarity, find that picture, and achieve that desired result. Champions, I want to thank you for this wonderful time that we've had together in this training. And absolutely love that we heard from our founder, Jon Kovach, as well as from myself, and we had to get to share with you. We want to hear from you. What are some goals that you're going for? And what are some golden nuggets that you have that you want to share? Drop those in the comments, the description, wherever you find this. Drop it, email it to us. Go to our website, mychampionscircle.com, and share it with us because we want to know what you champions are up to. And until next time, champions, you are awesome. Continue to live, think, and grow rich, and be those champions that we know you can be. You're awesome, and we'll see you on the next training.